everyone, welcome back to the Anime Iceberg. I'm Megan,
And I'm Meg.
and today we're here to talk about Dr. Stone, episode 17, 100 Nights at a Thousand Skies.
I love the title of this episode.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Through Byakuya's message to Senku, we learn of the events that started Ishigami Village.
Yep. And
Simple and
I mean that's
to the
that's about
point.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this covers manga chapter 44, 100 Nights, 1000 Skies.
Oh, really?
Just
Okay.
just one.
Only one?
Yeah.
Wow. Eh, all
It was
right.
a pretty hefty chapter.
Also, special announcement. We are recording this on Megan's birthday. So wish her a happy birthday in your head. And every time you do, she'll feel it in her heart.
I'll get an electric shock through my body.
Yep.
Or do that. What's that thing? Anime characters sneeze when their name is mentioned. So I'll just
Okay.
get like a sneezing fit.
Yep. Yep. All right. Give Megan a sneezing fit at her bakery job.
Oh, lovely.
Hmm. Okay. Let's get into this. Okay. Yes. At the end of the last episode, Byakuya wanted to return to Earth, and we find out he's gonna try to do it alone. Because he doesn't want to anybody else to take the risk, basically. But then Shamil's like, "You idiot! Don't you have a son?" And also,
The
your the pods can
yeah,
they have two pods and they can only hold three people each. So like
they
at
have
least
to
one
send
other
three at a
person.
time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Yeah.
Three people have to go.
And
Um,
Shamil's point was also like, so you've got a son, you've got family waiting for you, and then obviously there's that husband-wife team, so they've probably
mhm.
got families and stuff too. But he's like, I don't have anyone. So logically speaking, I should be one of the people to go. And then Lillian and Connie join him, but I think those two ladies, they might not have, if they do have families, it would just be like parents and maybe they don't talk to them as much. I don't know.
Mhm.
No info there, but basically the three single people who don't have kids go down.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I always wondered if the couple had children. I don't think they do because they
No, I don't
definitely would
think.
have mentioned them. Um, but they were definitely like the right age, but they're focused on their careers, being astronauts, which is awesome.
Well, spoiler for later in this episode, but obviously they have kids when
Yes,
they're
yes.
stranded
But
on the island.
before
Yeah.
had not, I'm assuming. Because I feel like
I I think that's a fair
you,
assumption.
you, we would have seen that, like, because
Yes.
they would
Yeah.
have been freaking out a
Oh
little bit
yeah.
more. Yeah, so those three return, but they end up in the ocean, and the pod that they're in is like upside down, so they can't open the door, otherwise it'll flood with water and they'll sink to the bottom. And but they need to get out because Shamil, I think he said they have like 9 hours of air.
Something like
Um,
that. Yeah.
and Byakuya is like, we gotta go rescue him. So they do, and they make it just in time. It's very impressive because they land on an island that's nearest to where they landed. And then Byakuya rows a boat out to them, which is
Yeah.
honestly just seems so crazy. I mean, they must have had like their exact coordinates, but even if they had their exact coordinates, like once they left the spaceship, the space station, they like don't have the technology to track them anymore, and they're in the ocean, so they're moving, and like
Yeah.
I I don't the we will suspend the likelihood that this could happen,
Yes, I'm
but
also suspending the fact that the three astronauts in the pod were upside down. It looked like the blood would be rushing to their heads. I mean, maybe there's some
mhm.
some different like techniques in the space pods to make sure that doesn't happen, like the way they're tilted or whatever. But I was still
Yeah,
thinking, man, they might have passed out, I
I
I
was
think.
like kind of imagining like that the angle that they were at is like the angle, like when you go when you're on a roller coaster and you're like
Oh,
going
yes.
up, like that was
Okay, so
like,
not as harsh of an
yeah,
angle.
yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was imagining.
Okay.
Um, but still, yeah, all those things like will just suspend belief and they get rescued.
Woohoo.
Um, and they're on an island and there are no survivors. At first they like think a guy survived, but no, he's stoned. And actually oh man, I have a lot of questions about him.
Just this
'Cause
loner
like,
on an island.
yes, and it seemed like he was running. So like, did he know what was gonna happen and like try to get as far away as possible?
Or
'Cause
did he just
like,
see the light and be like, ah, what's that? And got
but
freaked
even
out and
then, like,
ran.
how would he have enough time to get that far? You know, like I feel like he would have had to know beforehand about the green light, but I don't know.
Well,
I'm
that's a good fan theory. I'd buy into that. You
I'm
don't know
hoping
though.
that he's still stoned somewhere and can get revived. Yeah, but yeah, we'll find out. And so they kind of like officially confirmed they're the last ones, or they're the last survivors, and they're gonna make it work. They have like a survival kit, and also they're like astronauts, so they're trained for like emergency situations. And basically, I think the one somebody, I don't know who, but they're like, we are the people who have like the best chance of survival.
True. Yeah. I would say them or anyone in the military would have the best chances.
Mm-hmm. And then like there's a time skip. I think it's like 3 years.
Mhm.
And we see that the couple has had two children. And then we see Connie and Shamil getting married. It's very sweet. Byakuya and Lillian, they are strengthening their relationship. And I don't know, they have like a really sweet conversation because Lillian's like kind of upset. Like, I don't remember exactly what she says,
Oh,
but
she said
like,
like all of the music like the
oh,
Beatles, Mozart, they were gonna
yeah, that's
lose all
all
that
gonna be
history of
lost.
music. Yeah.
Yes, but Byakuya is like, no, Senku's gonna save everyone.
Yeah.
Um,
And in the manga he says, because if nothing else, I know that my Senku is still alive.
uh, yep. And then we also like learn a really interesting tidbit that they are not related by blood.
Yeah.
Um,
They will mention this quite a few times in the show, so I'm kind of hoping this pops up later in the series.
yes, and then like we go back to the present, and Senku like immediately says that T is adopted by Byakuya.
Yeah.
And because the villagers are like, wait, are we all related to Senku? Um,
It's like,
because
no, you are not. But I think he made the point of saying no one's related after that long. But even if we were, I'm adopted, so it doesn't matter. Because
mhm.
obviously Byakuya and Lillian had to have kids too, and like I mean, the blood has been passed down. But I think I don't know, it's really sweet. And I also thought it was sweet in the manga. It's kind of a funny line. But Suika, she's so young that she's kind of asking for clarification. And Chrome's like, explaining to her what happened. And he ends with, but Senku's dad and those five others were up in the sky, so they didn't get whammied.
Oh, that's so cute. Um, and then we see the village celebrating Senku becoming the chief. I don't know, I loved this moment of this, like everybody, like the camaraderie and like the
Yeah.
village coming
I mean,
together.
it's sort of like a
And
not a
like,
prodigal son moment, but like
yeah, they're
this is
like
the person who's come
celebrating
back to
Senku
us.
and like yeah, and Ruri is gonna live um and then they even drag Gen in to join
Yeah.
them.
Unofficial member of the village now.
Yep, yep. And while the village is celebrating, Ruri and Senku kind of go off on their own, and Ruri's like, there was one final message that Byakuya had for you. Um, and then we kind of see the rest of the story wrap up with the astronauts. Connie gets sick, and she's got pneumonia, and so the doctors, seriously, I don't remember what their names are, but they leave the island because like they're like the mainland is gonna have antibiotics that are still good and we can save her. But they don't come back in time and Connie dies and seriously, I don't know, it just like broke my heart. And then Shamil also gets sick and he also dies.
Yep.
Um,
And I mean, he confirmed though that he and Connie had kids together, and
yep,
he's like, in the end, I did have fun, and I had a wife and kids I never imagined I would be able to have.
yeah,
Um, and we can assume that the two doctors were lost at sea because we see them paddling off in a storm to try to get to the mainland to find medicine, but
yep. And then
never come
we
back.
never see them again. Which they also had two kids. So basically it's Lillian and Byakuya raising those kids. Um, and then I think we see more kids, so it can be presumed that they also had children. And then at some point, the kids look pretty young when Lillian dies still.
Yeah,
And then Byakuya is the only one left. And so I'm assuming he survived for a while longer to raise those kids, because
yeah,
otherwise, like, the human race would have been gone. And then at the end, you kind of see all of their gravestones, and they're all gone. It's like it's I don't know. It's just like it's both sad, but also just I wouldn't say like hopeful. I don't know
it's
what
a
the
little
right word is.
bittersweet, you know.
Yeah, cause like they continued on the human race
Yeah.
and
And they lived
like
together and
mhm,
they just had this tight-knit community and
yeah.
like you can see that Byakuya was smiling through it all. Like we are in the worst possible scenario, but look, we've got kids, we've got community, and I can just imagine Senko being like, "Wow, you married Lillian. Way to go,
Yeah.
Dad."
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know, there was one moment where we saw Byakuya kind of break, and that was when Shamil
Yeah.
was on his deathbed and they like just they have a moment and he's like because Byakuya's like, oh, it's just pneumonia. Like if it was a modern if we had the modern technology, you would be fine.
Yeah.
Um and I don't know. And then they kind of I mean, Shamil just basically trying to cheer him up and like, hey, buddy, keep smiling. And it reminds me very strongly of a moment that happens later, um, which hopefully I will remember to mention it when it comes up. But it's
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
just like a sweet moment. Uh, well, anyway, that's like the end of the 100th tale.
Yes.
And Ruri takes Senku to the village cemetery, and it's like a giant hill, I guess. And at the very top is a marker um for the six astronauts because so the village is obviously not on the island anymore. It's on the mainland. Or
Or the
their village
villagers
is on
moved
the
to Japan and the place
yes.
where the astronauts started off is an island way across the
Yes.
sea.
We also learned that basically Byakuya, he was the one who created the 100 tales to make sure that people survived to help Senku.
Yeah.
Uh, and like he like came up with a story about wild animals and like how to get feed yourselves, and then also he came up with the story about minerals and rocks just in case somebody like Chrome came along and was interested in that stuff. And so it's just so neat to see like Senku and his dad communicating over thousands of years. And like his final message is for Senku is that he basically, to sum it up, is that he tells him to survive and rebuild humanity.
Yeah.
And then uh I'm fine. Comes a moment where Ruri finishes telling Senku all this and Senku is like, okay, I need a moment, a moment
Yeah.
alone.
So in the
And
anime, I think the gist of what he said was, I'm gonna stay here and take a look around. And Ruri gets the hint
mm-hmm.
that he needs some alone time. In the manga, he says, I think I'm gonna do some research here. And
Mm,
Ruri's just like, okay, I'll meet you back at the village.
yeah. Yeah. And so he kind of stands at his dad's not as great, but his
Memorial.
yeah, and says goodbye, and we see like basically like a single trail of tears. Um, and then he kind of pulls himself up by his bootstraps and is like, "All right, time to get back to work." And I don't know, just like, well, let's finish the episode and then we can talk about it. Because the last thing that happens is he goes back to the village and Gen gives him a message that Tsukasa is coming and he's bringing an army.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so sorry. What I was gonna say is that just like these last two episodes are just like just heartbreaking to me because it's the whole time Senku was in the stone, like he knew his dad was in space. So like he had to have known that his dad was like long gone and he wasn't gonna get to see him again. And then seeing him like not realize it, but like acknowledge that in this last episode especially, just it's so sad just to know that like, spend all that time in the stone and knowing that your family isn't going to be there
Yeah.
when you get out. And
'Cause this
but
show is very family centric and not just blood family,
mhm,
but found family too.
yeah, yeah. But I also I just love that literally his dad was thinking about him that whole time and planning for him. Like the village is for Senku
It's his science
to help
souvenirs
him.
that Byakuya promised him.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And it's like healing in a way, I think, for Senku to know
Yeah.
that like
Yeah.
his dad's
Well,
helping him out and like still in
each
a
of his
way he's
friends
with
have a
him.
piece of his father in them, if you
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, mm, I love this episode. And I don't know if we've said this. We did say this, I think, in the last episode that his name means 1,000 skies.
Yeah.
And that's the name of this episode. It's just like so perfect for him.
And I think
Um,
Lillian's song, One Small Step, it has that line, or no, the song she sings in this episode is different than One Small Step. It's like 100 nights, 1,000 tears, or something like
yep.
that. She sings that line. 1,000 nights, a million tears, whatever it was. It's like, I don't know. It's like just about people's struggles and how they overcome them. And if they can't
Mm-hmm.
overcome them, they don't have any regrets either.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting to my one manga note at the end of the one of the chapters, or maybe it's the mid break, there's the astronaut profiles. So let's start with Byakuya Ishigami. He is from Japan. Former job as a professor. A romantic at heart with a goofy side, his leadership qualities made him the right man to rally the other astronauts. And then we get Lillian Weinberg from the United States, former job singer, a diva with worldwide fame. Her spirit for adventure led her to purchase a tourist seat on the Soyuz rocket. Then we get Connie Lee, who is also from the United States. Former job is NASA employee. Married Shamil while on the deserted island. The couple was ready to forego tradition, but Byakuya egged them on. Shamil Volkov is from Russia. Former job is a pilot. The polar opposite of Byakuya, Shamil tends to put emotion aside and make logical decisions. Captain of the Soyuz rocket. His hobby is chess.
Hmm.
And then we get Daya Nikit Nikit Nikitina from Russia. So that is the wife of the husband-wife team. Former job, doctor. She's got a sharp tongue, but a kind heart. She gives Yakov a lot of guff, though they actually get along quite well. And so her husband is Yakov Nikishin? Sorry, Russian. Former job doctor. The only one on the ISS staying for a second time. He's meeker than he looks, but his research skills are unparalleled. So, cool people.
Nice.
And then our voice actor we're covering is Lillian Weinberg, the diva. She's played by Caitlin Glass, but we also need to mention that her singing voice is Laura Pitt Pulford. And I think it's cool because even in the Japanese version, she sings in English because she's
Mm-hmm.
American. So that's pretty cool. But the person who plays her in the dub is Caitlin Glass, who is Winry Rockbell from Fullmetal Alchemist and Brotherhood, Petra from Attack on Titan, and Damien Desmond from Spy Family. And Lillian's name means lily, which represents innocence, purity, and beauty. And then her last name, Weinberg, is German and it means vineyard.
Nice. Yes. This episode ended perfectly because Senku ended it with saying, "Get excited."
This is exhilarating. Get excited. He ends every big episode that way with the this is exhilarating. Get excited. You know,
Yep.
it's not just get excited.
Or it's like, it's
Oh
time to get
yeah.
excited, you guys.
Yep. You can't help but be like, yeah, I'm ready for the next episode. So, animation expertise. This is another little tips and tricks if you want to animate these heartfelt scenes. But to indicate a character has been crying, put some red hashes underneath their eyes, tracing the trail where the tears would have fallen. I think that kind of represents like when you wipe away your tears and like your face is still
Mm,
red, or you get that puffiness under your eyes.
yeah,
You could
yeah.
see Senku had some of that on his face after he was done crying.
Mm, my baby.
Yeah.
Yes, I do really like him. Like, just his personality type is the type that I go for, I guess. Like, so I'm gonna be single forever because
Yeah.
he's so obviously like I never like romance is not for me. Um,
For our next talking point, we're going over like the things we're doing right now, including the show we're watching. I'm gonna let Meg take point on this because she has some grievances to address. And
yeah, so we are watching Tokyo Revengers and we learned the most horrible news the other night. I don't know. Did I like scare you less when that happened? Or like what were you
you sort
thinking
of
when like
no, I just found it funny because you went, oh no, and it's like, what? And then you told me the news, and I was like, oh, that's too bad. But you're like, no, this is the worst thing that's ever happened.
yes,
I know you were just being dramatic, but it is pretty disappointing.
yes. So we were watching, yeah, we're watching Tokyo Revengers, and we were almost done with season one. And my sister had mentioned that season two was not on Crunchyroll, and so I was like, but it was on Hulu. So I went on there, and it was they. I think at least the dub, they only had season two, and I know season three is out. And so I was like trying to figure out where is season three, what's happening, and then I saw a post saying that like Disney owns the rights to Tokyo Revengers. And I'm so angry. Like I have gone on very long rants about not wanting Disney to be a part of anime
Yep,
at all.
yep.
And they're already like, okay, I actually don't know what they've done at all, but to me, they're already ruining it because they haven't dubbed it and it's super popular. Why have you not done that? And it's just like, okay, I'm sorry if people are offended by this, but Disney kind of sucks right now. So,
Well, given what I've
uh,
seen about people's reaction to the movie Wish, I don't think you're alone in that. I I want to play devil's advocate a little bit. I've listened to a lot of podcast episodes about like Disney and their quote unquote downfall they're going through right now. There's hope that they could have a resurgence. I mean, like Encanto was pretty good, so they could have another one of those. But as it stands right now, they are focusing more on being a business than being a family-friendly entertainment company.
mhm.
So I think that oh, I'm such a Disney nerd, so this is a bit painful for me to say, but I think if they could focus on what made them a company in the first place and get rid of the hidden agendas and money things, then I
Uh,
think that they could have a comeback and the creativity could come back, especially since there's a lot of young people wanting to get into the entertainment industry who have fresh new ideas. But a lot of them are going to places like YouTube and starting up their own things because they can't break into the industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Case
no,
in point.
I do agree with you that Disney can come back. Okay, they can. I agree with
Yes.
that. But right now, they stink. And they're just gonna ruin anime. Okay? I just like anime is
I think,
so like it's this like unique industry that's, totally separate from like what it doesn't have anything to do with American culture.
yeah,
And they like create really unique stories with unique perspectives. And if American companies like Disney get involved, they put their own agendas and what they think makes a story good, and
yeah,
then they just ruin it.
yes.
And
I will say
I don't
that,
know. I mean, okay, one more thing. I will say because it's like Tokyo Revengers has a manga and like it likely will still hopefully follow the story. Um, but we will see. We have not read it, and I think we talked about if they ruin it, we will read it and we will tell you all about it.
yes.
But that was I just
Had to
I
put
was
that out there.
so you very mad.
Yes.
Uh
My
anyway.
2 points here. My first one is kind of in defense of Disney, but I think the thing that Disney is doing right is they try to branch out to different cultures. So if money isn't involved, they could do something good, because they like
But
to
it always
experiment with
is.
diversity, but money is always a factor. So right now that's kind of it. But the second thing I will say is my breaking point is if they did try to dub the third season and they put their own voice actors and tried to replace the current ones, because these voice actors work very hard to get the roles that they're in, and
Mm-hmm.
they establish themselves as amazing actors. Like, we have heard some stunning performances, especially from the main character. So
Mm-hmm.
it would be a crying shame if they're like, let's put in Nick Jonas as Takamichi.
Sorry, we were just talking
No,
about Nick Jonas
no
earlier.
offense
So
to no offense to you, Mr. Jonas. I do like you, but you are
yeah,
not an
no, and
anime
that
voice
kind of
actor.
like reminds me of like Studio Ghibli that
Yeah,
all of those dubs are like famous actors. I
right.
don't
And they
know
do a good
who
job, but
they do a great job, but I don't know who's like in who owns those because I know they're on like HBO Max, but
yeah,
I
they
don't
collabed with
know.
Disney at a time,
Yeah,
I
I know
think.
that Disney was involved with that at some point, but
Yeah,
also I know like Studio Ghibli is like totally its own separate thing and doesn't
right.
have
It's like the Disney
like
of Japan,
yeah,
but they're not
yes,
Disney.
it is. They're better.
They're
Right now they're better. Um
Oh,
anyway, that's my 2 cents.
yeah. Well, going back to Tokyo Revengers, let's talk about some good aspects. You and I kind of did a little reflecting on the characters, and we have like a combination of who
Oh,
we
yes.
are. So,
You can go first. You can go first.
yes. So, in terms of which characters we're like, we both found that we're a combination of two characters. I'm a combination of Mitsuya and Chifuyu. Mitsuya because, well, I like sewing and he's a tailor, but because he's the mediator, and Chifu because he's loyal to a fault. So I'm the loyal mediator in a friend group. And Meg,
Yes, I am a combination of the like actually both serious characters, Naoto and Draken, I would say, two most closely. Um, Naoto because he has a plan and he's very determined to succeed. And he also is like working behind the scenes. That's something
yes,
that I prefer to do. And then Draken, because I don't know, what were we saying? He's like the older,
the big brother. He's like the
yeah,
protector, kind of a leadership, but not like the leader.
yeah, yeah,
Can take charge when necessary. You're the
yes.
big sis. You're the big sis, but not too pushy. Well, your siblings may disagree, but not with your friends.
Yes, that is something I have to try very hard at. Be like, don't pass them around.
But yes,
No.
that's the good parts of the show. I will say it's I got through Attack on Titan, but man, this show was pushing my limits for like the intensity and
Hmm.
viewer discretion, please. But it's just I get it. It's a gang. It's like a more
Yeah.
intense version of The Outsiders, and I love The Outsiders, so I'm sticking with it, but I'm sort of like cringing through some of the parts of the episodes.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of funny because like last night something like we watched something crazy go down and I like didn't even react and like your face, your jaw dropped and I was like, eh,
It
it's
was more
fine.
it was more for the aftermath and the voice actors scream.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. I loved that.
Yeah,
But
very good job.
yeah. Okay, anyway, we gotta
Yeah,
finish this up. Let's talk about Dr. Stone. Um so what was your favorite line?
mine came from Byakuya when he was sending his message back to Senku through the Hundred Tales. I'm doing great. I mean, I'm already dead by now, but you know, my
Yeah.
response after a long day of work.
Yes.
And
Yes.
how about you, Meg?
Mine also came from Byakuya when he was talking about Senku and that his belief that he's still alive and he's like he wouldn't let some rocks do him in.
That was pretty great.
Yes, that made me chuckle. And then what do we learn in this episode?
Fun is essential to survival.
Hmm. And then who pushed the story forward?
Byakuya for creating the Hundred Tales, and all of the astronauts for giving us the Ishigami villagers.
Yeah, awesome. And that's all we have. Thanks for listening to us talk about the episode and rant about
Yes,
that.
sorry.
Um, no,
Sorry, not
not
sorry.
sorry. Uh, yeah, also I don't think we said this in like a long time, but follow us on Instagram at the Anime Iceberg. And if you have any questions or comments, we will read them on our podcast, and you can DM us or email us at the animeiceberg@gmail.com.
Yeah, and they can be questions about anything, not just Dr. Stone.
Yes. All right. We will be back next week with another episode.
Thanks for listening.